Hi, I'm Tracey Fisher, Gateway to Reentry, Community Talks. I'm standing here with City Commissioner Stephanie Singer. How are you?
I'm doing very well today, thank you. It's so nice to be here with you.
That's great. You will be running in 2015, am I right?
Yes, running for re-election as City Commissioner. The City Commissioner sits on the Board of Elections and voter registration, and I also do a lot of work to educate the community about how to vote, why to vote, and how to use the power that you earn when you vote.
Well, how about the ex-offenders vote? Where do you stand on that?
I think that everyone who can vote should vote in the city of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is stronger when all of us vote. We make a stronger case for schools, we make a stronger case anywhere where we're fighting for resources from the state of Pennsylvania. The more of us vote, the more resources we get. So I want to see everyone voting, and there are so many ex-offenders in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania, unlike some other states. In Pennsylvania, if you've done your time, you can vote.
Wow. See, actually in the Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania period, but Philadelphia, it's over 300,000 ex-offenders in the city of Philadelphia.
That's a huge number. Can I give you an idea of how big that number is?
Sure.
So first of all, there are about 1 million adults who are eligible to vote in Philadelphia. So 300,000, that's 30% of that. Here's another way to look at the number 300,000. When I ran in 2011 and I beat a 36-year incumbent who had the support of the political machine, I had a total of 37,000 votes. So that means that if the ex-offender community gets together and they decide they want this city commissioner instead of that city commissioner, you guys have the numbers to do it. Here's another thing in November, not in May. So my big election, first of all, is the May primary, May 19th.
Okay.
But in November of 2015, there will be retention elections for judges. Those are typically won or lost by about 40,000 votes. Again, if there are 300,000 ex-offenders, then if they get together and even just get 10% of them to the polls voting together as a block, that makes a huge statement and might even be the difference between a judge winning retention and losing retention.
You're absolutely correct, because combined with the state, the feds, and the county, 2,500 ex-offenders return home.
Is that
every month?
Every month?
Every month,
Wow.
2,500 ex-offenders return home.
Wow. And part of returning home is returning to society, returning to being part of society. And one of the great things about elections is, if you're a citizen, you can vote. There's no barrier to entry. You don't need a certain degree. You don't need to prove to anyone what you've been doing for the past 10 years or the past 5 years or the past 2 years. You're a citizen, you register, you vote, and that gives you a vote that's equal to mine, equal to yours.
Let me ask you this. What makes a super voter?
A super voter is someone who votes in every election, every time. In Philadelphia, we have elections twice a year, every year. So, spring and fall. So if you show up in the spring, in the fall, in the spring, in the fall, and you show up and you vote, that makes you a super voter. And what happens when you're a super voter is that candidates notice you and will reach out directly to you and the organizations that you belong to, because when I run next year, I will be looking for super voters, because I don't have to worry about getting them to the polls. I know they're going to get to the polls, and I want to make sure that they're going to vote for me, so I'm asking for their opinions. And they have more of a weight with candidates than people who aren't super voters.
If you're in the room with undecideds, what's the best advice you can give them to vote for you?
To vote for me.
To vote for you.
If you want someone in government who is going to stand up for the people, who is going to stand up against corruption, who's going to stand up for voting rights, these are things that I've done and I will continue to do.
Actually, so what you're saying is a vote for you is a vote for them.
Absolutely. I usually talk about just voting, right? And when you go into the booth, every time you vote for a candidate, you really are voting. You're voting for your neighborhood. You're voting for people who look like you. You're voting for people who have the same experience you have. Every time you vote, you're voting for yourself. And if you vote for me, you're voting for someone who will truly represent you, not the money interests, not all the power patronage interests. I will represent you, and I want to hear from you.
Now let's go back into a little more of the ex-offenders and how they can register to vote, or can they register to vote while they're incarcerated And what are the criteria?
Okay, so there are many people who are incarcerated who can register to vote, and even some who can vote from prison, so let me lay it out for you. The first thing is that if a person is incarcerated, even for a felony, but the person is going to be released or on parole or on probation by the time of the next election, that person can register to vote from incarceration. The second thing is that there are a lot of people who actually can vote from prison. If someone is incarcerated, but not incarcerated for a felony conviction, then that person can register to vote and even vote an absentee ballot from prison. So for example, if someone is incarcerated awaiting trial, they can vote. If someone is incarcerated for a misdemeanor, they can vote.
Wow. See, that's information when I was released, I didn't know. I really didn't know. And one of the reasons Gateway to Reentry endorses you is because before all this even took place, you educated me. You told me what I needed to know. You armed me with information what allowed me to go back into the prison system and give that information to individuals that had no idea, just like me. Because when you're incarcerated, they have one little room that says reentry on it, and it's outdated pamphlets.
Okay.
So when you come home, all you have is numbers that no longer exist.
Wow. Wow. Well, I am. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to take the information that has been held closely in City Hall and held closely by people who want to hang on to power and give it to the people who need it and are going to use it. And that's what makes democracy strong. You told me 300,000 ex-offenders in Philadelphia. That's a huge number. It's a huge number, and in a democracy, that number is a power number if and when you organize.
Good information. One more question. What are your plans in 2015 after you're reelected?
Well, so if I'm reelected as city commissioner, I'm going to keep on doing what I have been doing. So I fought against the voter ID law to make sure that people in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania who didn't have one very short list of ID cards, who maybe lost their birth certificate, that they would not be kept from voting. And there are all kinds of threats of other laws like that people are trying to pass to keep people from voting, and I will fight tooth and nail against those kinds of laws. Another thing that I will do is I will continue to fight against corruption. There are a lot of corrupt practices within city government. One has to do with people hiring friends and political allies onto the city payroll, which is really not fair. Those jobs should be open to anyone. And another thing that I will do is I will take, we have at the Board of Elections, we have some temporary jobs, 3-month jobs. Because our work is seasonal. We have more work around an election. And those jobs are perfect reentry jobs because they're supervised, they're very, they're something that if someone can read and write, they are qualified for. And I would like to take that set of jobs and make them an opportunity for people to get to the next step, an opportunity for people to get a job on their resume, out the door saying this person did a good job to help people get the next job.
Wow. And on behalf of every returning ex-offender, I want to say thank you. We truly appreciate you. And most people will not stand here and talk about getting the ex-offender a job. Most people will not stand here and talk about integrity. That just don't go together with politics. This is our belief. This is what we truly believe. So when we see it, we say, whoa, but we recognize it. And that's why you have the ex-offenders vote. And I'm Tracey Fisher, Gateway Reentry, Community Talks.
Thank you.